Welcome back to the Real Couchwives podcast where we overanalyze all things Bravo. This week we are talking about Love Island.
Love Island USA Season 6. We have heard your requests and we have delivered. We binge watched the entire season just for you. And have to say, I get the hype. This show was incredible.
Get the hype. It was incredible. I just watched 36 episodes in 2 days. It was amazing.
So we're going to talk about it. We have a lot of thoughts and feelings. First off, what did you think going into it? What did you think at the beginning? What do you think at the end? Take me through the journey.
The journey was pretty incredible, actually. At first I was kind of like, okay, this is a little weird. I don't really get it. But then it just kind of like slowly like lulls you into this this world. It like brings you in. It starts having like the twists and the turns. Like I think that's really the part that like gets you, is just like the fact that like the recouplings that happen, the different like dynamics that end up happening, the jealousy, all of it ended up being so fun and enjoyable to watch. In a way that even like at the beginning, I was like, oh, the challenges are kind of cringe. And then I was like, oh no, I'm actually kind of enjoying these challenges.
Honestly, I'm the same. Like the first episode I watched, it's like so highly stylized and like, I didn't know how to feel. I was like, ooh, this is feeling like, I feel like maybe I'm too old for this. Like this is kind of cringe. Why is everyone like really aggressively making out?
Yeah.
Like, is that just this whole show? And then at first you're just kind of like, I don't know, but like Ariana said that we should watch it. So Ariana Madix is this year's host and has skyrocketed the viewership as well. So there's our VPR like way in. I'm like, I gotta trust Ariana. And then like, I feel like by actually probably the end of the first episode, when they bring in a new bombshell, I'm already like, oh my God, I have to see what happens. Like, what is this recoupling going to be like?
Yeah, exactly.
And they really just get you, I think, for a few reasons. Like my thinking of why this becomes so addictive so quickly is the twists and turns. Like there's new bombshells that come in to kind of like test the relationships of the couples that are there. But there's also real friendship basis that I don't think I was expecting. And I think that's what draws people in a lot as well, is just like those real genuine connections with genuine intentions. Or is that what they say? And then also the fact that it's real time, right? Like this is probably the only reality show that you are watching it. I don't know how many days like later the episode comes out from when it's filming. All I can think about is those poor editors must work so quickly.
Oh my God, working overtime for this show. Yeah, I think that there must be only like a couple day delay for all of this, right? Because even like they're having tweets that like come out at one point during one of the challenges that like are like responding to like what just happened in the villa. So like there's clearly like not that much of a delay between kind of like what's happening and like what's like we're seeing in the real world.
It's true. And then also the bombshells who come in are like, oh, they've been watching the season. So they come in being like, oh, I have my eye on this person. Like,
yeah, exactly. I know, it's pretty amazing. I also think it's really fun that I think the colors, like I think that the set and like everything that's done there, like really also just kind of like, it's like cartoons for adults. Like,
it's a real life Barbie dream house.
It is a real life Barbie dream house. It's also kind of like the way that like, especially when they did the Casa Amor episodes, they were like switching from like Casa Amor to the villa. And like it's like, oh my God, it's like The Sims. Like it's like you're going from like one house to the next house. You're like, what are my Sims up to today?
No, that's literally what it's like. Love Island is The Sims in real life. I was trying to put my finger on it and I was like, there's something so crazy about the fact that it's real time and it's like so hidden camera. Like you don't have you don't have the people filming them going around. Like it's literally, they have even come out and said, the cast, that like they forget the cameras are there because they're just so hidden. Sure. Yeah. It feels weird. Like it feels like you're watching a social experiment and like we're literally just checking in on them. And then with the narrator too being, and like they decide when these people go to bed, when they get up, like the lights just come on. Like
I know, it's like, okay, bedtime, everybody, go to sleep. I could never.
They must feel like they're just like a hamster in like a cage or something, right? Like it's just like
especially because they don't even have like access to their phones, right? Like the phones that they're using are like only like tied to like any text message that the producers want to send them.
I got a
text.
next.
They can maybe take a photo or two, and that's about it. Like, it's kind of crazy.
They definitely be taking photos. That's the thing that they're doing in there.
Yeah, 100%.
So, in case anyone hasn't seen Love Island and you're watching this and you're just like, what in the world are you talking about? How would we even describe Love Island?
Oh my God. Well, I don't even know, because the thing is, like, there kept on like being like such a rotation of the cast that like I don't even know how many people were in there at any given time. Like, it's got to be at least be like 10 couples. It must be, it starts out with 5.
There's the
couples.
OG couples, which almost all the OG, a lot of the OG people make it to the end, which I think is also impressive. Why we're so kind of like invested, because we've seen them from the beginning. Yes. But to its core, it is a dating. It is not contestant. What the heck is the word I'm trying to say? It is like a dating contest. Yeah, it's a dating contest show. Yeah. Reality like show.
And like filmed like Big Brother style.
Yeah.
Without kind of like some of the dynamics of like backstabbing as Big Brother.
It's kind of, I feel like it takes the 24/7 living in a house, games and all of these, and voting people off the island of Big Brother. Yeah. It has like the messiness and hookups of like the challenge.
Yeah.
There are games, but they're really weak. Like, they're not like the challenge type of games. They're like, they're like, go down the slide and then like roll around in this pool and then make out with someone under a waterfall.
Get in this tiny little car together and walk along this little path. It's very fun.
There's some really weird ones. And then Ariana, the host, comes in sometimes and they do recouplings and they have to choose like a new boy or a new girl to pick. The thing that really kills me is, I want to couple up with this boy. I'm like, why do we have to say boy?
For me, it was just the fact that every time they were like, this is really gonna like test my connection. Like, there was so like they were just like saying all the same kind of thing, or like, oh, I had a really good connection right from the beginning with this person. And it's like like every episode they have to say why they're recoupling with this person. It's like you're running out of things, like especially for Kaylor and Aaron, who like were basically coupled up the entire time. They just kept on being like, I really like this boy because
it's true. I also, speaking of testing connections, so one of the crazy things that happen, and also this is our first season that we've seen, so I am kind of like wondering what are the staples that happen all the time. Obviously Casa Amor is like a staple, but like what's specific to this season and what is just kind of like a constant. So let us know. But one of the constants is Casa Amor, right? When like kind of in the middle of the season, everyone's kind of coupled up. For the most part, it's going pretty well. And then in the middle of the night, the boys, they can say if they want to go to this Casa Amor, if they want to stay with their connection. But they go to literally a duplicate house, looks the exact same, that has...
maybe a little smaller.
that has brand new girls. And then new boys are going to go to the regular villa with the girls. And then shenanigans ensue. And then they essentially have to decide if they're going to bring this new girl back or stay coupled up with who they're already with.
Original.
And like the boys just fold immediately. Like just literally the second they get in there. And they're like, oh, I'm testing my connections. And like the only test that they're giving is physical. There's literally no connection beyond this. It's just like, and they're like, well, I have to do it to see if my real connection is that strong. I need to go make out with this person in bed.
Exactly. Well, and also like, spoiler alert, like basically all of the boys like bring their new girls from Casa Amor into the villa. And then most of them like are like justifying it because they're like, well, I had to bring her in here to be able to test this connection.
Because how can I know? You might think you like someone, but you could be wrong, to quote Mean Girls.
To quote Gretchen Wiener. No, 100%. One question I did have about Casa Amor that hopefully our viewers, I guess, will be able to answer is like, is it always the boys that have to like decide if they go to Casa Amor, or do they like swap it each year? So like, it's 1 year is the girls, 1 year is the boys, because that would be kind of interesting to see.
I feel like it's probably the boys because they know the boys are going to go. Whereas like, look at the girls. The girls, 2 of them slept outside because they didn't want to sleep in a bed with another guy because they didn't want to disrespect their man. Meanwhile, their men are literally making out first night with these
Frolicking.
girls.
Yeah. Like they're also like the girls were like building like forts, like basically like pillow walls in between them. Like
the boys were definitely not doing that. Also,
yeah.
I just have not a problem, but like I feel like the weird like what am I watching that I had the first episode kind of came back at Casa Amor when there is a little bit of a reset, and then you get all the new girls and like I'm sorry, they feel so thirsty because they want to come back to the house, right? So they're they're putting the moves on these men immediately.
Yes.
They are open for business.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, Jesus.
Well, yeah. And that's kind of also just like the throughput of the entire show, right? Is that like the fact that like you're just expected to kind of do these absolutely like outrageous things to people that are basically strangers. Like the number of like kissing challenges and like the kind of striptease challenge that they do towards the end. Like the fact that like they've like, okay, you've known all of these people for like maybe 20 to 30 days. And like, here you are just grinding up on them and getting all up in their business.
This was their first night. Like the first day they did a kissing challenge. And it wasn't like, okay, it was like, it's like a weird, really aggressive kissing. I don't know. I probably sound like
not
so
just like a
old
little
when I talk about this. It's just like, yeah. And I guess like just going in and not knowing. This is like now next time I watch Love Island, I'm going to be like, okay, this is, it's like when you watch Euphoria, it takes a second for you to get into like the world of Euphoria.
Yeah. 100%.
Now that I know it, I'm like, okay, yeah, they're going to grind on that table and we're going to do this. And that's the challenge, obviously. Yeah. But at first you're kind of like, oh, okay.
They have to like hang out in like their bikinis like the entire like day. Like that's just like their uniform is like, okay, what bikini am I gonna wear today? It's a very different lifestyle.
I like that the girls share clothes. I find that so cute.
Yeah, it's really cute. I love that the girls have like their like little like area where they all get ready together and they have like their little like debriefs and stuff together. I think it's super cute.
It really is. I'm sorry, I'm still hung up on Casa Amor.
No, that's very fair. That's very fair.
The main thing I wanted to say was I was really surprised by Kordell. I did not expect him to fold immediately with this new girl. And this new girl was really aggressive. Like she was like, she knew what she wanted. She knew what she wanted. I was just so surprised. I do think that people overall still really like him, and I still really like him. I think he's very well spoken. It's crazy that he's the youngest one there. He's like the most emotionally mature and like intelligent of those guys, and he cops up to everything he's done to Serena when he comes back, and he's like, he owns it. Whereas like Aaron is there being like, I wanted to do it in the moment, and that's what, so I don't regret it. I kind of regret it, but I don't really regret it.
And like pouting and being like, you don't need to know what happened over there. You don't need to know what happened over there. Don't worry about it.
Fuck, Aaron. It's just like the season had so much.
It really did. So many layers. I did. I loved Kordell. I thought he was great. I loved Serena, especially. Like, I think maybe it's like one of those things too, where like, because I liked her so much, like it helped me like him as well.
Yeah.
Because I thought that she was like amazing and beautiful and like super cool. And like, I think it's also always like a little bit more relatable when somebody is like maybe a little bit more reserved. And like takes a little bit longer to kind of like want to like go like take the next step with people and
I know, it's true. She was like, and she just seems like such a ride or die friend as well. She was just like incredible. I'm so happy that they won. Oh, I should have said spoiler alerts on this, hopefully.
Well, a lot of spoiler alerts. A lot of spoilers, unfortunately.
The Aaron and Kaylor stuff. This is another thing I think that made this. So people are saying that this is like the best season. This is an incredible season. I think we're so lucky to have come in on this season. What I wanted to ask for, those of you who have watched more is like, is this a crazy standout season, or like, is it always this good? Because from what I'm seeing, the friendships this season are crazy. Like everyone coming out of it is like, that's my family. Like we are bonded for life. And it's like, is that a normal occurrence, or is this cast just incredible?
Yes. Well, and I also wonder if Ariana's excitement for kind of like being there and like being the host, granted, like she's not in it like a huge amount. Like I was actually kind of surprised by how little she's in it. Like I wonder if that also kind of like fed into like the audience's kind of like excitement for all of this as well. Like it really felt like she was like really doing as much as she could to kind of like watch what was happening and kind of like, you know, be on their side and like do different things. So I really appreciated that. So I wonder if that's kind of impacted anybody else's viewing of it too. Like obviously I don't know what Sarah Hyland was like when she was the host as well, but I'd be curious to know.
That's true. Yeah, Ariana was amazing. She was such a good host. So good. Like, not only did she just look like the most stunning human that's ever walked the earth, like, oh my god,
literally, like how?
Like Tom Sandoval, like I honestly don't even know what you could be thinking right now in life, because like this woman is a phoenix rising. Like
like literally, like the best glow up ever.
It's just so it's just funny too though, and obviously we always have to take it back to an Ariana conversation. This is what we've been saying for a long time, right? Like, yes, she got these opportunities out of, you know, this horrible scenario, and people are like, oh, it's unfair, she's getting all of these things, but she crushes every single opportunity that she has. Like, they would not come and make her the host if she wasn't going to be good at it, and she is incredible at it. Like her delivery, to your point, like I don't know if she gets more involved than a normal host would, but like I don't know, she's just so good at it. Like Yeah.
Like I don't think she gets more involved than a normal host would, but I do think that like she like felt like she was like really like trying to like drive conversations, like kind of have like little witty like comebacks and stuff in like different times. And then I also wonder how much of kind of like her star power and like her bringing attention to the program has also kind of like helped like them get like the reunion that they're going to have this year. Like just the fact that they're actually doing that is like super interesting.
Did they not normally have a reunion?
I don't think so. They made it seem like it was like a big deal.
They did make it seem like a big deal.
A big deal. Well,
it's also just like, I don't watch, you know, I hadn't watched Love Island. This was all over my social media. This was everywhere. You know, there's also the Leah and Rob of it all. I feel like there's these couples that became like bigger than the show. So, you know, Leah and Rob just went on Call Her Daddy, and that seems like really massive moments. Like,
did
Call
they go on together or did they go on
separately? But like they came out within like 2 days of each other. So like I feel like she sped up her schedule to capture this. Like clearly like everyone is talking about this show.
Yes.
And it's like, is that just this season? Like, did I just block it out before? Like,
no. So, okay. I have to admit, so I haven't like really watched Love Island, but I have seen like, I've seen some of the episodes of like the UK version because I've like watched it with friends and stuff, but I've never like watched a full season before. But I've always heard, and I think people have always said that Love Island UK is better than Love Island US. And so I think that's always been the thing, is that like, exactly. Like, you know, they were kind of like struggling to maybe like in the casting or like in like certain aspects to be able to kind of like recreate maybe some of the magic that the UK version was experiencing. So I do kind of like wonder if, you know, like now they are kind of like finding their footing and being able to kind of like figure out like who they need to be going after, like what needs to be happening. Cause it does kind of feel like something really special happened with this particular group of people. And they seemed like super fun and lovely and wonderful. And the fact that like they're all on podcasts now and they're all doing stuff and they're all hanging out together and they're going to have a reunion. Like, I think there's like so much kind of interesting stuff happening around this season in particular.
Like I feel invested in these people now. And I think also, you know, it had so many things going for it. Like if you even look at Leah and Rob's scenario, like they kind of had will they, won't they, right? Like it's these two people who right off the bat were so connected and like found each other, and then basically like just went so south so fast when he just found a new person to date after like 4 days. And then but like the whole time like they're still kind of being drawn to each other, but it's like kind of toxic. And like now there's this crazy fandom of like people who love Leah and Rob, or people who love Leah and Miguel. I don't understand Leah and Rob. That is such a toxic relationship.
No, I'm not all about that at all.
I also like seeing them both on Call Her Daddy now. I didn't finish Leah's because I think it just came out last night, but they're so different. Like he barely spoke. Alex had to really like pull his teeth to get like anything. And that Leah like needs her own reality show. Like Leah is just like so entertaining, so fiery, so sassy. I don't know how they were like, oh, we're the same person, we share a brain cell. Like, how?
Yeah, what? Yeah, I thought that was weird. And I don't know, like, so, because, like, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen the finale yet, but, like, Miguel and Leah make it to, like, the final four. And not only do they make it to the final four, they make it to the top two. And, like, for me, I was just kind of like, I never really fully got that. Like, even though I didn't love Leah and Rob together, like, I just didn't really feel like I felt the chemistry for, like, Leah and Miguel together. Leah. And yeah, I just think I can't believe that, like, America, like, voted for them as number two of the couples when, like, the other ones that standing up there, I was like 100% more
I don't
behind.
think it was about the couples. I think Leah has such, I think it's Leah. I don't know.
I think it's Leah.
Like, we watched enough that we should probably know. I think that she just has such a crazy fan base that they were going to vote for her regardless. Right. Because even when she was with, like, was it when she was with Connor? I think she was saved. Yeah. Went, like, early on, actually went with the whole, like, Andrea exodus and the, like, taking a backseat gate that had that whole conversation. When America voted, they voted for Leah and Connor, and I don't think anyone thought they were going to be together. You're she like, didn't even think they were going to be together.
She was like, I have the ick immediately, actually. Thank you, though.
So I think, like, it's really her fan base that carried them through.
Right. Okay. I think that makes more sense then, because it was very much like, are we all watching the same show? Like, what?
But the other contestants who have come out and done interviews, like one of them being Liv, has said that, like, a lot of, like, you didn't see a lot of their romance and connection, and that a lot of people do really think they're a good match.
Right. Liv and Kane?
No, Liv said about Leah and Miguel.
Leah and Miguel. Okay. All right. Okay. That's fair. I guess that's entirely possible. I just think that it's weird that you're, like, I don't know, you kind of got paired up at the same time that Kenny and Jana. Oh no.
Oh god.
Janae?
How can you watch something so long and then when
I can see it written. I
feel like sometimes they call her Nene or Nene. Like
Janae? Jana.
It's embarrassing.
Jana. I'm sorry. I literally was just watching it like 2 minutes ago.
I know.
I'm sorry. It's gone from my brain. But like, even I feel like they got kind of paired up at the same time, and even then I feel like I have more of an investment in the two of them than I do in now I'm forgetting their name.
Miguel.
Leah and Miguel.
I think it's also because like when Miguel came in, he came in like so hot and so playery, and then he had like a bit of an arc throughout.
Right. Yes. I could see that.
But and Leah also just went through so many ups and downs with different people.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, it's kind of like the same way that like Rob had so many like pairings, and to a certain extent you're kind of like, well, especially with his pairings though, I think you're like kind of like
I mean, a lot of people are like he should have just gone home with Andrea.
It would have looked so much better if he had gone home with Andrea.
Well, what's funny is on Call Her Daddy, she asked him, like, are you going to rekindle things with Andrea? And he's like, I don't know. Like, she's been saying a lot of stuff on social media, and it seems that he's now, like, has the ick because she's, like, talking about it so much.
But, like, wouldn't you? Like, if this guy, like, stood up there and did this, like, big declaration, he's like, well, thanks a lot, everybody. Now 3 of us are going home, and I'm out of here.
He is so dramatic.
And then he's like, well, do you want me to go home with you? Because I could stay or I could go, you know, whatever. Like, that would give that, like there's no way that she was gonna like even humor him when he left. And, like,
I don't think she even was saying bad things about him. Like, because when the clip I saw on TikTok was like her being like, yeah, like I want to see this through and I want to see what comes out. I think he's more just like off put that she's like talking about it. Like maybe he thinks that it's like clout chasing. I have no idea.
Right. I think he's just off put that he like doesn't like. I just don't think he's interested in any of them, quite frankly. Like I don't think there was any really like genuine connection in any of that. Like I think that he's just like an F-boy and like gross, and I don't.
The thing I was saying before, I feel like he is the real life Ryan Atwood from the OC, but not in personality.
How dare you?
Not in personality, but just in the way that like He's a man of few
like
words. And the stare. He has that smoldering stare
like
on a
dog,
lock.
Like I'm a bad boy, but with a good heart.
Like
stare.
Early season Ryan Atwood. when
exactly. Like leather jacket and a wife beater.
Yeah, where he's just like brooding, and he's just
exactly. Like I'm from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah, but instead of his leather jacket, he has overalls with nothing under.
And his snake belt.
And his snake tattoo.
Snake tattoo.
Oh my God.
Wrangler. Red flag.
The scene where he was like in Soul Ties with Andrea and he's like putting a spider on her and it's like going on his face. I literally was like, I would die.
I would
and
die.
She's just like, I'm not scared. Huh? This is so sexy.
I could never. Couldn't be me. Not a chance. I would just like, I think I would honestly just like pass out.
Yeah, I would just die. I would run away screaming and crying.
I can't. I couldn't. No.
Do you know who I actually really loved from the beginning?
Who?
Kendall.
Who?
Kendall and Nicole.
I know. I had a little bit of an ick with Kendall kind of at the beginning, but Kendall and Nicole, when they got together, I was like, oh, this is kind of cute. Like, I could see this. I just find he's like a little messy, but sometimes somebody needs to play that part, right?
It's true. I really like Nicole. I liked her from the second she got there, and I think they're cute, and I hope that they work out
together. I know, me too. That's the thing. I'm so excited to see like who of these couples are still together by the time that the reunion rolls around. I'm always like so interested.
And and it's funny too, right? Because it's not like another dating show where it's like by the time it airs, it's like, oh, we've actually been either together or broken up for like a year. Now it's like, oh no, like this just happened. Now we get to see them in the real world.
Yeah.
And what their relationship is going to be like. I also feel like what's something that's crazy about the show that they don't ever talk about or they don't show is like age doesn't seem to matter, location doesn't seem to matter. Like you never see them sit down and be like, hey, I live in London, you live in LA. Like what are we gonna do about that?
They did make a lot of jokes about Aaron trying to get a green card from whoever he was dating.
And he's also, not only is he in London, but he also is a deckhand. So he is traveling multiple times. He's a yachty. Guaranteed he's going to be on a below deck.
I could totally see it, honestly. I feel like I would also, I don't know. Would you like that or would you hate that?
I think I would kind of like that.
That's fair.
Just because like now you have backstory of someone and you don't have to like get to know them from scratch.
Yeah, that's true. I do appreciate that. I would be very curious to see what he's actually like in like the real world.
Same.
Or at least like a real working experience.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Viall has come out and said on his podcast that he thinks that like Aaron is is like the villain of the season. And
I could see that. I think even like him and Rob together really are like, especially the fact that like they have like such a bromance. Like I could see them kind of like, you know,
he was in love with Rob. The way that he cried more for Rob than anyone else.
That was the real like love connection that they found at Love Island.
I actually felt really bad for like when Hakeem went home at the same time Andrea went home, that like Rob standing up and making his big thing, and then Aaron and all the boys started crying literally and then no one cared that this guy's actually going home.
Yeah, exactly. I know, I did feel really bad for him. Yeah, and I guess maybe that's kind of part of the problem too, of like the fact that they come in as like this like core group, and so like anybody that's not part of that core group like pretty easily gets like iced out or like thrown under the bus when it's time to get rid of somebody.
Yeah,
like,
I think Nicole is the only one that like actually became part of the friend group coming in later.
Yes. Yeah, well, and even like, because when did she come in, like episode 6 or 7?
It was when Andrea came in, so it was early.
Yeah, maybe it was even a little bit early.
I have to say they came in the most awkward way possible. Not awkward for them, but like I mean they came in and they seemed really confident, but like so for those who haven't seen it or just want a refresher, Andrea and Nicole were the 2 new bombshells. The bombshells are literally there to test the relationship. They're like, let's bring in this new hot person. And the way that they're introduced is like the couples are all sitting down and one of the couple is like tied up and then the other one has a mask. And then the two new girls come and decide who they're gonna kiss. So what ended up happening is like Nicole, for example, went to Kendall and he's next to his then couple Hannah. So Hannah is like tied up like this, and then she's just like straddling like her man, and then
her love match.
And then like the person who's tied up is just like trying to like awkward, like they're like, oh my god, like I'm literally like touching you, like pretending this isn't happening. Oh my god, I just like, that's mortifying. Like
it's very awkward, and it's like you literally just go from like kissing one person that you like then have to like, okay, stand up, you, and then like go and like kiss the other person, and you're just like, that's totally normal. That's totally fine. That's great.
So
I mean, to each their own. Everybody do what they want to do. It's just, I don't know if it could be me. I'm too awkward.
So yeah, it's a crazy show. I definitely want to keep watching. And then there's also After Sun, which I didn't watch because like, I'm sorry, there's already like 36 episodes. You also want me to watch After Sun?
Yeah, I couldn't get through all of those. I have to admit, I had to skip those ones just because I was just like, I had to prioritize what was like really juicy and what was actually going down here. The only thing that would be pretty fun to like watch like throughout the week, like next year I'll definitely watch it live so that I can actually like experience it.
Yeah, no, same. I would love to do that. It's like, it's giving like, I guess that's what people love about Big Brother too, right? Is that like it's on so many times a week.
Yeah.
It's I also want to know if people come out of it with as much attention as they're getting now.
Like other couples?
Or like just other seasons. Because right now I feel like it's like everywhere.
Yeah. I feel like definitely back in the day, especially for the UK one, yes. But I don't know about like as much anymore or like right now. Like I think it really kind of depends.
Do they have Love Island people go on the challenge?
I don't think so, but I haven't watched the challenge in a couple. Like I haven't watched the most recent season of the challenge.
Okay, the most recent season of the challenge is horrible, but I'm so excited for season 40, Battle of the Eras.
Yeah, that will be fun. I haven't watched since like probably like 2022.
I got back into watching.
Many seasons that's been.
There was like a long amount of time I stopped, and then I got back into it, and I'm like, this is the best. I mean, they pull from every other reality TV show, so I don't know why they wouldn't go into Love Island.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends because look, every guy on that show is like hella jacked, and like definitely could go like attempt at least to do some challenges. Yeah, so I guess it's very possible, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out.
Also, I'm just thinking it too, like how crazy is it as well that it's just like, oh, I just met this person, now we're gonna sleep in bed together, like with like 10 other people.
Yeah, exactly, all in the same room. Yeah, that's just it. Like one of your first conversations has to be like, so are you a cuddler or like what's your sleeping style?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
It's so weird. It's such a fun social experiment. I really like it.
It truly is a social experiment. And then also it's just like I was watching it and my partner was like kind of watching a little bit like in the background, and he's like, why are they all crying so much? Like they literally like just met each other, because like whenever someone leaves they're all like really destroyed. And I was like, you know what? I can understand how the environment that they're put in makes these connections feel so much stronger. Like, even if you think about, like, if you go to sleepaway camp or something, you know, and you're with people for a long amount of time, and then you're just used to, like, waking up with them and having breakfast and having lunch and having dinner. You're with these people just, like, all the time. Then when you have to go home and be like, what do you mean I'm not going to see you every day? Like,
yeah, exactly. What do you mean I don't get to live in paradise anymore? Well, yeah, exactly. And that's just it. Like, they don't have any distractions. Like, they don't have TV. They don't have like anything that they can do. Like,
it's so true. What do they do all day?
They just hang out. Like, they work out, they hang out, they eat. All the boys cook breakfast for the girls. It's really cute.
Also, like, is the only thing that they have access to eating breakfast food, because they're only ever eating or talking about eggs or pancakes
or avocado toast
toast.
I don't know, I feel like I saw them like munching on like some chips here and there, but yeah, like it's true, I didn't really like ever see them like eating.
I've never seen like a meal. I don't know if they give that to them. Sometimes they're eating grilled cheese.
Well, now that you mentioned it though, one nice thing about this show is that it's not like heavily endorsing alcoholism.
That's
like
true.
They have all this messiness and they have all these conversations and everything that's happening. It is not like fueled by like drunken fights or like any of that kind of stuff, which is actually kind of like a little bit refreshing.
It's just the craziness of being in this house.
It's just of 24/7 like surveillance and, you know, constant togetherness.
Yeah. Speaking of, another thing that we talked about a little bit, but I think was really a bright point and like why a lot of people wanted to watch season 6 of Love Island is the friendships that came out of it, like specifically with the girls, with like Serena, Leah, and Jana. We can't say her name.
Janae.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, those three are so cute. Yeah. Even the boys are like just bros, and like they all just check in on each other, and like I just find it so sweet.
It is really cute. Yeah, it is really cute how they do have like these are like really nice like bonding moments, like really like they genuinely feel like they like really care for one another. Like I think that is really nice to kind of get to see. And while I think that like Aaron and Rob are kind of toxic, and their like bromance together is probably not the healthiest, I still appreciate that, you know, in this day and age, being able to see like male friendships and male kind of like bonding in that kind of like way is like really nice, especially when like, you know, what we have to compare it to is like Vanderpump Rules, where like the relationship between the Toms and like Jax in particular, like the first few seasons is like so volatile, so up and down, like it's so much like ridiculousness. I at least feel like there's no like backstabbing or any of that kind of stuff that we're witnessing here.
Even when they're like literally hooking up with the same girl, like even when they're in these really uncomfortable situations, I think they all still have so much respect for each other, which is like kind of crazy.
It is really crazy because that's just it. Like especially after the whole Casa Amor thing, and this is going back to like the mess couples. But like, I was like, how on earth could any of these couples get back together with their original pairing after what happened with Casa Amor? But they do.
Literally, and, like the next day. Like the next day.
Like maybe, like in some cases, like maybe like 3 days later. You're just like, oh, okay, it's cool.
It's just, all good. It's so funny. They bring these new girls back. They like cause this whole ruckus. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, actually, I still like you more. Sorry.
This is just confirmed that I actually like you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I hope this heartbreak was worth it. Yeah. It's so intense. It's so crazy.
It's very interesting. But then again, I guess is that just Love Island world? Like, do you just like accept that that's what it is? But I do have to say the girls, when the boys brought the new girls back, I feel like the original girls or the girls that were still there, like in the actual villa, I like that they let them have it. Like they didn't just like roll over. They were literally like
giving them a hard time.
Yeah. And
shaking them.
I like that.
I did like that. Well, and I think that it's interesting too, because I think one thing that Ariana kind of talked about, like why she likes Love Island so much, I think she was on like a talk show or something, was the fact that like it has such a high success rate for couples that stay together after being on the show.
That's what I was going to ask, actually. Like how many people continue to date?
I think it's well, according to Ariana, so I don't know. I would love to look at the stats for this. Like, I think that would be so interesting to like build out like a data sheet of like everything that happens, because I think it's super interesting. But I think it makes sense to a degree that you would be able to kind of like come out the other side of this, because like you've gone through so much together. Like you've kind of like fast forwarded like the first like stage of your relationship where you're like, well, how do we react when like, you know, betrayals do happen, and how do we like talk through things, and how do we kind of like come together when like we need to like work together, or like different things. What's our communication style like? Like, what's our kissing style like? Like,
all they definitely figured that one out.
They figured that one out first for sure.
Yeah, it's true. Like, honestly, when I think about the conversations that Kordell and Serena had, even at the beginning when there was like the dancing challenge, which, okay, the challenges are so messy. Like, these challenges are designed to really shake things up. Yes. They're not just kind of like ridiculous, like frolicking and rampaging.
Though sometimes they are also
sometimes, like they're one or the other. They're like really just like shock factor, or they're like I want to ruin some lives.
Like, I want to see somebody get slimed.
Yeah, like the dancing challenge where it's basically like there's like two little areas and there's a wall in between, and then like both of them are dancing, and then when it stops you have to either keep dancing if you want to stay in your relationship or go off the dance floor, and then the wall will go back and then you will dramatically see if you are standing there alone. And Serena had left and Kordell was really upset, and you see him like process that with his boys and be like, I don't understand. But then when she sat and talked to him, she's like, no, like I'm still about you, but like we talked about being open, or like I forget exactly how the conversation went, but I remember like she was able to ease his mind and he was like, okay, I understand. And like that kind of just like de-escalated the situation, and you're just like, oh, like these two people can actually have like constructive conversations.
Yeah, which I guess is kind of like the nice thing about the fact that they do spend 24/7 together, is that like they have no choice but to talk everything out, right? Like they have no choice but to like, because otherwise like it's like, okay, there's 9 other people living or 8 other people living in this villa right now, like it's impossible to kind of like ignore the person, and like that's your job here while you're doing this, and you just have to talk it out. Like it's kind of great. It's like talk therapy.
It's true. I also wonder, I feel like we were talking about this a little bit earlier, like I wonder what their perceptions were inside the house, because like Leah, when she left, like she didn't, like she sometimes was ganged up on, and I don't think she thought she was like the favorite person in the house. And then she was so shocked when like the entire world just like loves Leah, and she had this like crazy fan base. I wonder if like Kaylor and Aaron thought that they were that couple. Like I feel like they were probably really shocked that people were actually comparing them to like Ronnie and Sammy Sweetheart from Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, obviously we can't fully know, but I do kind of suspect that they thought that that was a little bit more their dynamic.
Just because they were together from the very beginning until he hooked up with someone else.
There you go. And even then, like technically, were they ever? They were coupled up, or they were always coupled up together, except for when they were coupled, like uncoupled, but they were both singly uncoupled.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they were never coupled up with somebody else from what I remember. So yeah, like I do think that they probably would have thought that they would have been like one of the stronger like couples that came out of this, and it's just not the same. I think for anybody that can relate to Kaylor, I think it makes them feel like, oh, a little sad that I can relate to that. Whereas I think the people that can like relate to Leah are kind of like, yeah, that why do I always go for that guy? That guy's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Kaylor's also really young. I think she's like 22.
Yes. And her name also sounds like a couple name. I'm sorry. I just can't. Kaylor, like what? Kaylor and Aaron, but Kaylor's already in a couple. That's impossible. I have such a problem with that.
It is interesting.
It's confusing. Anyways. But yeah, I think that Leah probably was a little bit surprised, but I can also kind of like see why people would be on Leah's side, even though I don't think I want Leah's side.
No,
like, I'm not team Leah. No, or Leah, whatever her name is.
I feel like there's definitely qualities of her that you're like, oh no, but like I really like her as like she has just such a presence, especially honestly, even in the Call Her Daddy interview, I feel like I liked her more. But the stuff with Connor was like kind of rough when she's literally like, oh yeah, let me couple up with you, and then like immediately she's like, oh, you're too nice, I need someone who's gonna like put me in like a mental ward, and you're like, girl, no. I actually felt Connor got like the short end of the stick for sure.
I mean, yes and no. Yeah, but like, because I also kind of thought that like it was annoying that he was, and again, I don't know her name, so you know, who am I? But
he just jumped
yeah, that was like with Jaina. Like I
totally.
was like, that's not
I wonder
cool.
if they would have stayed together had he not done that.
I wonder, like I don't know. And I think that Jaina ended up with somebody better anyways. I'm glad that she ended up with Kenny, but yeah, I think Connor probably could have had
it's just so funny the way Connor walked in.
Done that.
Yeah. Or a lot of people actually are saying they knew that this season was going to be really good from like the first episode when she chose Connor over the guy that she was with, and the first guy was literally, I don't even remember his name. She was only on like the first episode. Like 3 girls had wanted him, and then he ended up going home like the next day.
Was it like
Koye or something? Maybe.
Koi
Yeah.
or something
Wow,
like
we are not doing great with the
it had
names.
it had a C, it had an O, and it had a Y. It might have had another letter or vowel.
I feel like I could spell out all of the names. I just can't like say them.
I just remember them flashing across the screen.
Yeah.
More than anything. Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too that I would be like super interested to see the behind the scenes with like a producer or something of like, how do you decide who's going to be the first people that enter? And how do you decide who's going to be the bombshells that enter? And like, do you change who the bombshell that enters is based on like what's happening in the house? Like, how do you time that? Like, I think
That's
because
true.
they do it so expertly, right? Like,
that's true. And like, because I feel like some of the people they bring in specifically for people, like specifically because they're like, this is going to throw a wrench in this relationship.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that like when Andrea and Nicole came in, they both went after like, well, Aaron and Rob for Andrea and Kendall and Kordell for Nicole, and the fact that like Kordell and Kendall, so many names, had both been like the people that like at the very beginning like hadn't initially had somebody standing on their love heart. Like,
yes.
as it's like these are the kind of like the two guys that like might be a little bit like up in the air, and like here's this one girl that's going to decide that she's into like both of them.
Yeah.
Like, how perfect is that, right? Like, story wise as well, because then we're like, oh, who are they going to want to pair up with? Like, are they going to want to pair up with the one that like we think that, because like, you know, I think it's fair to say that like Kendall and Hannah didn't feel like they were supposed to be like a love match. And even though we liked Serena and Kordell, we were kind of like, well, maybe Kordell does want something else, and Serena certainly wants something else, so maybe she should choose Kordell. And so like it's just like, it's such good TV, like.
It really is. And I just, it's crazy how it just hooks you in. Like, because honestly, again, like from the beginning, I was like, what the heck is this show? Like, why?
What is
and then
going on here?
And now I'm like, literally can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. That's just it. At the very beginning, you are kind of like a little bit like, what am I watching? Like, what is this?
Like, I don't know if I could like safely watch this on an airplane with like,
no, certainly not. Oh my God, definitely not a chance. Not safe for work.
Yeah, so we'll be watching next season. Thank you, Ariana, for opening this new show for us. Let us know any of those questions that we asked about the show. It's like, is this a standard show? Is this a super, like, it does feel like this is a really like special season, but like overall, are the beats the same? Are the like, is the cast always this good? What made the season so good?
Yeah. And we'll be watching the reunion, because we know we will be.
Yes. And also, what else are you watching? Again, we're opening up our horizons.
Exactly. Summer is upon us. Might as well. Let's do it.